Let's try it. Let's try to give this a go. Okay, here we go. We're gonna get started with Touchpix 101. I heard you guys talking spinners. Yeah, there's a lot of spinners out there, whether you have a manual or a automatic. We want to welcome you to Touchpix. We hope you guys take a lot from this session today. We're gonna try to cover as much as we can. Just bear with me. I may have to take a water break because there's a lot to cover. So I want to teach you guys how to be successful, but I also want to show you guys how to do it what I believe is the right way. At the end of the day, it's your business. You're going to manage it however is best suited for your needs, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and start with sharing the screen. Let me see if you guys are able to do that. Are you guys able to see my screen currently?
Yes.
Okay. What I'm also going to do now is share my iPhone screen because I want to start from the very beginning, right? So on the right, I have my iPhone screen, and on the left, I have the web browser. First and foremost, what I recommend you guys do, I just deleted the app. I reinstalled it just for the purposes of this tutorial, right? Here we go. I'm in Touchpix now. Once you download the app and you purchase a subscription, make sure you give full authorization to this app, whether it be Bluetooth, like it's asking me here. If it's, I'm going to toggle over, make it big. You're going to give it permissions, right? If you already bought a subscription, you're going to click on the subscriptions tab. Then you're going to go, if you already purchased one, you're going to go all the way to the bottom and hit restore purchases. Right? If you haven't, then you feel, if you haven't purchased one, purchase whatever you feel fits your business needs. The weekly is $49.99. Per month, it's $139. And the professional, I don't know if it's on promotional right now, but last I saw it, I think it was $1,200. It usually goes on sale when they're doing photo booth shows, which is once a year.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I'm in here and I need to get a subscription, but I don't have it. It just has like the dashboard. I'm on my laptop.
Yeah, no worries. You follow along if you don't have a subscription.
Okay.
I'm going to send you the video. It's going to be recorded. No worries. Just follow along as best as you can, okay?
All right.
So I'm just kind of showing you the steps on how to activate your subscription. First and foremost, that's you download the app. That's how you activate a subscription. Then what you do is go over to Touchpix. If you don't have an account on Touchpix, you're going to create an account. Be mindful that when you create an account, I'm going to toggle back over to my iPhone. It needs to be tied to your Apple ID. This is very, very important, right? This is the way it tracks you having an active subscription or not. So if you go over to settings on your device and you click the top, in my case, I use mine just for business only. It'll give you your Apple ID email right here. It needs to be tied to your Apple ID. I get calls frequently because people are trying to activate an iPhone with one Apple ID. They're trying to activate their sharing station that has a completely different Apple ID. It's not going to work. You could install Touchpix in unlimited devices as long as you own them and have the same Apple ID. That's very, very important. Okay. So once you determine what your Apple ID email address is, this is what I would recommend you guys register your Touchpix account with. It's a lot easier to track. It's a lot easier to troubleshoot when you have any issues. Once you register with your Apple ID, you go over to the Touchpix website on a computer. I recommend everybody starts using a computer to set up an event. You don't need a computer to work an event. You don't need to take a computer with you for any event. But I recommend when you start using Touchpix, a computer is going to make your life a lot easier by setting up your event. Once you're in Touchpix, I'm going to minimize some of these windows. I always tell everybody before you set up an event, I recommend that everybody set up a folder on their desktop. If you don't know how to do that, you can just right click, new folder, and you call it Touchpix files, right? Makes it a lot easier because you'll know where all your content is. In Touchpix files, I recommend you guys use If you guys design your own overlays or have somebody design it for you, you can drop all that content here. Music, you can drop all the music content here. What else are you gonna need for that? Logos, I'm gonna be using a cheap Instagram logo, but if you guys have personal logos that you guys wanna brand on your phone, make sure you drop it into this folder. It's gonna make your life a lot easier. After you create that folder and have all your files ready to go, then you create an event. First thing you do, create an event. You're gonna see, we call this the dashboard. If you click on dashboard, this is what kind of controls the Touchpix web page. It's also where you create an event that's eventually gonna get transferred over to your phone. You got a couple of options here. One of your options is create an event, create a custom event, or create a event from a preset. The preset, I'm not going to go over in this tutorial. I've done it in the past. You won't need it unless you don't care about branding your event. If you don't care about the Touchpix logo being in your event, then you might want to use this. But this is kind of a preset for people. I'm just going to show real quick, by clicking on it, what it does. This is a quick 3-step process where you can get up and go and do an event without much configuring. So it has pre-configured settings for non-motorized spinners, for motorized spinners, and for motorized spinners who are using an Apple TV. They're already set. It's designed for you to get up and go in 3 clicks, but you're not able to brand it because it's just designed for you to just do an event on the spot. The way I want to show you is from scratch, doing an event from a custom preset. Make sure you click on custom preset. Once you click custom preset, you're going to be taken to our settings page, our general settings page. You're going to name your event. In this case, I'm going to name this event wedding. I'm not going to give it a name, where I'm just going to say wedding 831. That's what I'm going to call it because that's my area code. My language is going to be English. Country, it's going to be in the United States. My countdown, I like to keep my countdown at 3. So what a countdown is, it's just similar to a photo booth. It'll give you 3 seconds before it starts recording, right? So you can prompt your guests at this time. A lot of the guests have never been on the 360 booth before and say, hey, they often ask the attendant, what do I do now? This is your chance to explain to them. It's going to record. This is going to be a 3-second countdown, and then it's going to start recording. I like to keep them nice and low, right? The beep sound, this is an auditory countdown. After each second, it's going to beep for every second. That way you can hear it and you're not staring at your phone to be prompted. The mirror overlays, this is kind of a funky way of where it's placed, but the mirror overlays is when you have already designed your artwork. When you look at the session while it's being recorded, it's gonna look backwards like you're staring into a mirror. I'm gonna go ahead and
somebody mute themselves.
Somebody mute themselves. Yeah. Let me see. Okay, I think I got it. Yeah. So the mirror overlay it's gonna display your overlay with the mirror effect. It's gonna look backwards, but the actual output is not affected. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave that. You can disable or leave it enabled. For the purposes of this, I'm going to just disable it. Front or rear camera. So this is where we get to the devices that we recommend. Touchpix utilizes any device that is capable of running iOS 14 on your iPhone or iPad, okay? We recommend the following devices. An iPhone 11, doesn't matter which model it is. It can be the base, Max, Max Pro. Same thing with the iPhone 12. The reason why we isolate those 2 models is because those models have what's called an ultra wide lens. Anything below an iPhone 11, it doesn't have an ultra wide lens. So you might not get that. When you record with an older device, the people may look like they're too close to the camera versus that ultra wide angle look. The other thing with that lens is that it has nice image or video stabilization when you recorded a video file. So that's why we recommend those devices. Can you use other devices? Absolutely. What we recommend is what we think is best suited for this app, which is the iPhone 11, 12, or the newest iPad Pro. You know, the newest iPad Pro is capable of doing that. It has the three lenses similar to the iPhones, and I think the one that they're going to drop soon is also going to be recommended for this as well. So, in addition to that, we're compatible with GoPro Black, only the Black series, the model GoPro 6 or the GoPro 7. The Black series is the only one that we would recommend because it has the slow motion capabilities and the frame rate that is expected within the software. So if you're using an iPhone or an iPad Pro, you're going to want to click the rear camera. We're always going to be recording with the rear camera because it's the best camera. The rear camera is 12 megapixels versus a front cam is 7 megapixels. The front cam is not capable of producing slow motion effects. It's going to look very choppy and it's not going to be a good output. So we recommend use the rear camera all the time. You're going to want to leave your camera exposure menu on. What this is gives you camera control to control your exposure. If you're at a venue and the venue is too dark and for whatever reason your lighting is just not up to par, you can always go into your camera settings, just like a DSLR camera, and configure the settings, move your ISO higher or lower, set your white balance if you want that. You always want these settings available to you. The QR protection, there's going to be some stuff in this menu that I'm just going to say don't worry about it because it's more for the photo booth side of Touchpix. The QR app protection is one of those items that I don't like enabling. It's meant for me, it's meant for photo booths that are being dropped off that other people are going to be using, and you don't want them tampering with your event or accidentally deleting your event. It's going to ask you for an original QR before you can do anything to move the settings. So for the photo booth side, I think it's a nuisance because if you forget to add a music file or if you forget to add an animated overlay on the web browser, it's going to ask you for the QR code, and sometimes it just becomes a hassle to try to produce that. So I leave it off. Okay. As we go down, we are not doing printing, so we're going to set the printer to no printing. As far as functions, like I said, this is a photo booth software as well. So we're not going to use photos. We're not going to use boomerangs. We're not going to use GIFs. We're not going to use videos. The only thing we're using is the slow-mo function. The Slo-Mo Duration, this is what is going to control how long your output video is. If you want your video to be anywhere between 9-12 seconds, I think you leave it at the default setting. I personally like my videos just a tad bit longer. I actually like them around 5.6, right? It just means it's going to record for 5.6 seconds. It doesn't mean that your output's going to be 5.6 seconds. It means the camera is going to record for 5.6 seconds. It's then going to apply the slow-mo effects. And if you check this box, it's actually going to apply the slow-mo boomerang, which means it plays the video in reverse as well in slow motion. So this is probably going to produce anywhere between 16 to 18 second output, which is perfect. That's the size I like to play with. It makes it a lot easier to manage. The next tab is for adding audio. There's going to be a lot of controversial talk with audio because some people just like to do things their way. Touchpix it's an app that'll let you use any MP3 file. We highly recommend, if you're a legitimate business owner, to use royalty-free, copyright-free music. We don't want you to get sued. We don't want you to start off in the wrong foot in the industry by, getting a lawsuit from a music label. It's happened before. I've been in the industry long enough to know that it has happened. So you just want to cover your assets. We recommend some royalty-free music sites. I know it's not the same, but if you find some good ones, there's a lot of stuff that sounds very similar. You can play instrumentals. We just recommend that you go royalty-free, but at the end of the day, you can use any music you want, right? The thing that happens sometimes with copyright music is that if you try to post it on Instagram or some Facebook platforms, the algorithm's going to catch it. You're going to get banned. You're going to get your account shut down at some point. You may skate by a few times, but that's typically what happens. So we recommend you, you reach out to these royalty-free music providers. There's Bend Sound. There's a site called Epidemic Sound. There's a site called Music Bed. There's another site called Audio Jungle. These are all royalty-free sites.
Are you able to put those in the chat?
I will put those in the chat towards the end, and just look around. But again, you guys are able to use any MP3 file. When you have your MP3 file, you're going to choose the file. This is why I ask you guys to start off with a desktop folder called Touchpix files, right? I am now pointing it over to my desktop folder. I'm going to pick a song that's royalty free. I already have it selected. I downloaded it. I actually saved it in that folder. I'm just going to point it to that folder. That's a Touchpix files folder. Once you point the folder the first time, it automatically going to open the same folder. So it's going to make it very easy for you to kind of keep going. As you scroll down, screen flash, we don't need screen flash. This is more of a photo booth function for the iPad booth. It simulates a flash. The timeouts, this is at the end of the session. This is when the session is done. This is how many seconds it allows for surveys to be up, editing to be up, sharing to be up, thank you screen and props. For the purposes of this 360 tutorial, these have to be set. I like to set all of these at 0 with the exception of sharing. Sharing, I'll leave it at 6 and I'll explain why. If I were to set the sharing here at 0, if my sharing station malfunctions or I have another way of sharing and that malfunctions, it's not going to let me share from my phone. I have to give it a little bit of seconds to allow, in an emergency, something fails, you can always share the content from your phone. So I always recommend leave a sharing time. I like to use it at 6. You can find whatever fits best for your needs. I'll get to questions very soon, Tori, unless it's related to this. If it's related to this, come on in and ask away.
Well, I'm using a free trial right now to test it out. But after the thank you screen, where do I go to do like another video?
I kind of lost you. When after the thank you screen?
Yes, I will make a video, and then when I like share it, and then it would say a thank you screen, but then it doesn't do nothing after that.
So you're a little ahead. So this is kind of why I'm doing this tutorial, because you need to follow the steps of setting up the event the way I'm setting it up. That way you're not missing a step. So it sounded like you missed a step at the beginning, which is why it's not cycling through. So this is kind of why this webinar is very important. Just kind of follow along, and I'm teaching you how to set up the most optimal event as you go through. That way you're not running into any issues.
I have a quick question about
Sure.
what you just did. When you were at the part where it said functions, you said the 5.6 duration enabled. Mine says slow-mo speed.
Yeah.
And I know yours doesn't have that. It says, and mine's is
You're using, are you using a GoPro? No?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's why, because you did not check your front or rear camera.
Got it. So what should the slow-mo speed be for the GoPro?
For the
'Cause it's
GoPro,
on
I like to set it at 7. Okay.
Okay,
For the
thank
GoPro
you.
users.
And
Perfect.
keep the duration 5.6 still.
No. For the slow-mo duration. Oh, I'm sorry. You're saying slow-mo speed on the GoPro? That's irrelevant. Leave it at 3. I apologize. I thought you meant slow-mo speed. That doesn't. That's not going to do anything, because what that does is when you don't select a camera, it thinks that you're trying to use the front camera as a recording device. So leave it at the default setting. It's not going to matter either way if you change it or not, because it's not going to control the front camera. Eventually, it's going to control the GoPro. So for the GoPro users, if you do see a screen that says slow-mo speed over here, ignore it. This is the speed that you want to focus on. And for you, set it at 7. Set your GoPro at 7. That's the speed I prefer if you like less time.
What am I setting to 7?
The slow-mo duration. Correct.
7 to 7. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and play around with that. If you want less time, then you'll figure what that calculation is. So as we go down, this is why I was explaining that I leave sharing at 6, because I want people to be able to bail themselves out in the event that a sharing station malfunctions or they're having a connection issue of some sort. As far as sharing, we're not going to use Facebook. We're not going to use WhatsApp. We're not going to use Twitter. We're going to leave everything else selected. We're going to use SMS texting, email, and AirDrop. And we have these copy and download features selected. I don't like to use the edit screen. The edit screen I feel is more for photo booth related functions, like you can draw on the pictures, add effects, and add props. If you're starting and playing with the app, deselect it. Later on, if you get curious and you want to see if you can add some filters, you know, I don't do it. I don't recommend it, but you can actually try to see what you can do with that. I think this is more of a photo booth setting type of thing. Very important that you leave on this in-app gallery checked, right? I'll explain that a little bit later. Just leave it checked. And this is where the white label comes in. You can actually title your email subject to whatever it is you want it to say to represent your brand. You can say under the text, you can make it say, thank you for using XYZ photo booth. This is my Instagram handle, this is my website, and this is my phone number. I usually keep all these messages, all these 4 boxes the same, consistent, right? One of these messages you'll receive when a user sends themselves an email. The other message is for text messaging. This is when they use the web gallery email message and your social sharing station. It's pretty self-explanatory. Just change it, cater it to your needs. I'm going to scroll down. We're not utilizing props. This is not the photo booth sides of things. This is the other important part right here, branding. This is where you name it your company name. You know, you can name it XYZ photo booth, whatever your company's called. This is where you name it. The app logo, app background, and web gallery, I keep these all the same, right? The app logo is the logo that's going to go on your screen, basically. The app background is also the logo that's going to go on your screen. So the app logo is placed in two places. If you're using the TV sharing station, you're going to see the app logo file be applied. And I'm going to explain to you what that is. That's why I like to keep them all the same. So for me, these will all be the same. So if I hit choose file, it's taking me back to that Touchpix folder. And like I said, I'm going to use this generic Instagram logo. If I hover over the logo, you can see the size of the logo. This is the size of the logo. It is telling me that it's a PNG file. A PNG means it's a transparent file. And the size of it is 640 by 640. That's a pretty small size, right? The size is 67.9 kilobytes. I like to keep the size of these 3 under 2000. Anything under 2000, I would recommend, and it works well. You can play with your image to see how it looks. If you feel like you need to make it a little bit bigger than 640 by 640, then depending on the resolution where it was designed, you can see the pixelation. But for me, this works. So I'm going to select this image that it's already a PNG transparent. I'm going to put it in my app logo. I'm also going to do the same thing under the app background. And I'm going to show you guys how that's going to look a little bit later. Okay. So I'm going to select the same image for all 3. The attract screen, I'm not going to worry about the attract screen. It's just an extra screen that can be placed on your phone. It actually, you can do an MP4 file. You can get real creative with this, but for the purposes of this video, don't worry about it. Leave it blank. Nothing's going to happen. You're not losing any functionality. So let's just skip that. If your logo happens to be white and you have a white background to your logo, you can't use white text or white buttons because you're not going to be able to see them. So what you can do is click this box and change the color to whatever color you want your buttons and your text to display. I'm going to leave it white because I know my logo doesn't have a white background. As we scroll down to the data collection, this is the survey part of Touchpix. You don't need it in the 360 world. You're not asking questions. You're not having people input information. But if you use it for the photo booth world, this may interest you, right? You can enable survey. You can ask questions. and you can collect that data at the end of the event for marketing purposes. A lot of corporate clients like that. So just know that Touchpix has a lot of powerful tools, but for 360, we're not going to use that. The section where it says triggers, I'm going to demonstrate how it works disabled, but I'm going to explain to you what the triggers section is. For those of you who have manual spinners, you can actually trigger the recording to start by either face recognition or movement. Movement means that whenever you throw the arm, because the iPhones and GoPros have built-in GPS units built in, it detects movement and it'll trigger the app to start the countdown to start recording. If you have a manual spinner, I don't recommend that because sometimes it doesn't work as well and it'll start recording a little delayed. By the time it starts recording, the arm has stopped moving because it's manual, right? So I would recommend, go ahead.
I have a quick question. Okay,
Sure.
so with the custom trigger, when you say movement trigger, that's if you have an automatic, so you will start it and then it'll detect it.
Yes, exactly. So if you have an automatic, it kind of works a little bit better because you can, it can take 2 rotations before it initiates a start, and you can spin it without worrying about the thing slowing down on you. So it can work better with the automatic. I've seen it work with the manual as well. You just have to time it right if you want to use this option. I like to teach this without the trigger on, because without the trigger on, all you have to do is tap the screen and then it'll start the session. It makes it a lot easier for a lot of people. And that's the way I like to show this class. If you get acclimated to the software and you want to venture out and try your own workflow, then this is how it works. You can either do face or movement. Be mindful that, you guys were discussing a lot of different platforms. When I went in to grab my headset, there's a lot of different brands out there. Each brand works differently. Some of the automatic spinners are a little bit more sensitive than others. Some of them require the sensitivity to be adjusted for it to pick up the motion trigger. So just be mindful. It allows you to do this here to set the settings. You can actually set a trigger screen. You don't need a trigger screen. It has a nice trigger screen by default. The trigger screen just says, move me to start. That's all it says. But if you want to brand that, by all means, you can definitely design your own. But for the purposes of this tutorial, I'm not going to enable motion trigger, and I'm going to initiate my sessions by tapping the screen, right? So it brings us to the external screen. The external screen, I think, is your bread and butter of Touchpix. This is why I'm so much of a fan. I'm not only an endorser. I mean, I've used Touchpix for over, since it came out, for a couple of years now. So the external screen, I think, gives everybody, especially you business owners that are starting in this industry, the upper hand in setting yourself apart from everybody else with spinners with a different company, right? The whole idea behind Touchpix is that we don't take a computer over to the events. We make it real simple. You can set up your event at home, set everything up, scan your devices, and away you go. You don't have to worry about computer malfunction. You don't have to worry about computer overheating. The beauty of it too is that it allows you to communicate to other Apple devices, such as your Apple TV. So the external screen, what this is, when you enable it, you can use 2 things, right? And I'm only going to recommend one out of the 2. There's a lot of smart TVs out there that have the Apple TV app. Does it work with that? Absolutely, it does work with that. Do I think it's the better decision to go with over an Apple TV box? No, I think the Apple TV box is still a lot better than the smart TV with the built-in Apple TV app, for 2 reasons. One, the smart TV is going to require you to have an internet connection to do the screen sharing. It's required. Without that, you're not able to do a live view. You're not able to do a live recording utilizing the screen mirroring. The Apple TV box, on the other hand, you don't need to have an active internet connection to display the live view recording. It communicates seamlessly through the Apple protocol, screen mirroring, and it connects, right? I also think there's less of a lag on the Apple TV box than the smart TV with the built-in app. And I'm going to show you guys a sample of how that looks towards the end of this. But you can do two things. You can do an external session. The external session means that when your client goes on your platform and is going to start a session, they could actually see themselves being recorded on the TV, right? And it'll have the duration of how long the recording is. And as soon as they get off, there's a few seconds while the video gets processed, and then they'll see their video playback. Once they see their video playback, Touchpix also has this QR function. This QR function is placed underneath that video where the guest can now go up to the TV, projector screen, or whatever it is that you're using and scan that QR code with their smartphone, and they download their content onto their phone. So that the only thing with this is that it does it for the last 4 sessions. So it's, I'm actually unclear if that is going to be addressed in this update. I know there's some changes coming up regarding the QR in this next update. There's going to be more, it's going to be more easily to share via QR. I'm just not sure if they address this. Having the last 4 sessions are the only ones that are going to be coming up. You're not able to go back to session number 1 while you're at session 64, So, it just makes an easier or a more exciting element with Touchpix when people are seeing themselves. There's a big screen out there. It creates more of a, more of the ambiance that people are looking for in these events. Serene, I'll take your question. Hello, Serene, you have your hand raised? Okay. So the QR code, that's what it enables it. If you don't want to use your Apple TV or screen mirror for external session purposes, and you just want to be able to play back a slideshow of all the videos, you can also do that. It'll play your video slideshow, right? It'll display your videos throughout the event, and it'll just start playing it like a normal slideshow. I personally like the external session, but you may be a slideshow person, so that's really going to be up to you. I'm going to enable it.
Question about the
Sure.
external session.
Sure.
So right after I made a video, the QR code for that particular video wouldn't pop up right away. It would pop up like 4 sessions later. Like it was really like delayed, and I'm not sure.
Yeah, the delay is because, like everything else, you do need to be able to share QR. You need to be able to have a good internet, right? Once your session is done recording, you got to understand the process. The process is the video records, it then uploads it over to the cloud system that the app uses. And it takes a little bit of time depending on your internet speed. So what we were going at, at the beginning, which is a good segue for me to just transition into, is people often misunderstand internet, right? They think that they're at home, they have a good Wi-Fi system. Let me see. And they assume that they have good internet. So I always recommend speedtest.net. So I always recommend you download a speed test app either on your computer or on your phones. These are easily accessible anywhere you have reliable internet speed. And once you're connected, I'm connected to a Verizon hotspot right now. So I'm going to hit go. Right, it's gonna test my speed. A lot of people pay attention to their download speed, right? My download speed seems to be, I'm pushing 100 on my Verizon hotspot, right? So they think, oh wow, that's extremely fast. It is extremely fast. If I'm downloading a video, if I'm watching a video from YouTube, but the purposes of photo booths, we're not downloading anything. We're uploading speeds, right? So we recommend that Touchpix. As you can see, Touchpix. Right now, my speeds are hitting about 15, 16, which are great for a hotspot. These are great speeds for a hotspot. So if you guys can get your hands on a Verizon or AT&T hotspot with these speeds, I recommend it, right? But the issue why a lot of people are experiencing sharing problems is because they're hovering right around the 8 portion. And it really depends. There's a lot of variables, right? It also depends how long your video is, because The longer your video, the bigger the file. It depends also if you're utilizing other resources within that hotspot. So oftentimes than not, there's going to be a delay. But like I said, I'm hoping Friday next week, we're not going to have this conversation. I'm hoping next week, next Wednesday's webinar, we're going to be talking of how great the update was and how quick these video text messages have been sent out. There's been a lot of work by the developer these last couple of weeks. We've heard you. We are listening to everybody struggling a little bit with sharing. We're going to remedy that. Just be patient with us for the next couple of days, and the experience is going to change dramatically. So that's what I wanted to say about the internet speed. So back over here to Touchpix. This is external session. When you're done with external session, your company logo is basically being pulled from this app logo. It'll display it on the TV. The live view recording is checked on. And the hand trigger, I'm going to disable it. It's for the photo booth side. Once you're done with your session, you're going to hit submit, right? And once you hit submit, it's going to take you, I didn't hit it because I already have an event called, well, let me rename it. Then I'll hit submit. Decided at 5. I think I already had an event. I'm going to hit submit. And it's going to take you to your QR code.
I have a question right there.
Sure.
Do we have to wait to start another like session? Like, let's say someone, I'm sorry, someone gets off the booth and is sharing their session, their video, right, to the screen, or they're waiting to get it from the sharing station. Do we have to wait before we start the next video? Like if there's like, let's say a line.
Well, you have to wait till the video starts processing. That really depends on that, how big the video is. I mean that I think that goes for with any other photo booth. There's a processing time. Even with PC-based software, there's a wait time that goes because it communicates, whether you're using an iPhone or a GoPro, that information needs to get back into the actual system that's controlling it. It then processes the video, and then it starts uploading. But once it starts uploading, you should be ready to go for the next session.
And that all goes back to the internet, to the to the upload speed. Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So once you hit submit, you're going to get a QR code. We're not going to scan the QR code yet because now we're interested on uploading a artwork piece. So you're going to go into what we call a designer. You're going to click on designer. By default, it takes you always to the photo booth side. So you're going to see templates. Right? These are photo booth templates. So you're going to go under, you're going to click templates. You're going to click Slo-Mo overlays. These are going to be your Slo-Mo overlays here. You got Slo-Mo overlay 1. This is a vertical template, which means that it's best used if your phone is positioned with the camera on top, right? In the vertical position. The most popular one is Slo-Mo 2, which is a square. It's popular because people can just upload that to Instagram. It's super Instagram friendly. There's Slo-Mo 3, which has more of a landscape, more of a wide angle view. Slo-Mo 4 has an ultra wide angle view, and Slo-Mo 5 is just a cropped portrait version. So once you figure out which one it is you want to use, for the purposes of this, I'm going to use Slo-Mo 2, which is the square because it's the most popular. You click on it once, the silhouette pops over to your right-hand side. If you want to design it yourself,
real quick.
Sure.
Yeah. So with the Slo-Mo Overlay 2, that is if you have your iPad vertical. Is that correct?
Slo-Mo Overlay 2 does what? I'm sorry.
If you're clicking on Slo-Mo Overlay 2, that means that your iPad. For me, I use an iPad. I position that vertical versus horizontal. Is that correct?
You can position it in. I think you can position it in both, whichever best fits your workflow. I've used it on horizontal and it works fine. I'm sure if you place it in vertical, it'll also work fine with that overlay because it's a square.
And one other question is I haven't done an event yet. I do have the 360. So I would need to purchase another iPad as far as a sharing station? I'm confused.
You can, but I'm going to show you guys a trick towards the end on how to share. If you have a internet speed that, you know, that's going to get you through the event, there's a way to share without the need of a sharing station. But you can, ideally, that's what people do, right? They get an iPad sharing station to share all their content. But I'm going to show you a way at the end where you can do it with the QR code. Okay.
Okay.
So just bear with me. So here on overlay 2, I clicked on it once. It popped over here to the right-hand side. If you want to design it yourself, you can, by all means, design it in here. Again, just take this in mind. This is a pro level service that you're offering. You know, unless you're very good at designing things yourself, please try to provide pro level output, because that's going to demand more of a demand for this, and that's going to trigger the price to go higher. We're not, you know, trying to charge $100, $200, $300 an hour for these services. People should be charging a lot more. So just be mindful, you know, what I said. That's my recommendation. That's my opinion. But obviously, you guys are going to run your business to however best fits your business model. But you're able to design it in here. If you want to add text, you can hit text, right? I can actually, now that I have this text open, throw that away. So I clicked on text, and once it appears here, I can actually make it bigger, right? I can actually change it and say, this is a sample. And you guys are saying, well, man, that looks ridiculous. You know, that the fonts, you know, you have your fonts here, right? So then you can, depending on how you want it or how you want it laid out, oops, you can actually throw it in here, right? You can throw it in here. You can.
Can you show us how you would upload an overlay? I
Yeah.
received the one you sent in the email and I had no idea how to upload it.
Yeah, so definitely I can do that. Let me just throw these away then. But in the event that you guys want to add text, you guys are able to do it. You guys can make the text bigger. You guys could reposition it to however you want. Same thing with backgrounds. You can add some quick backgrounds. However, it's not recommended for this because your actual silhouette needs to show. As far as uploading, you're going to go over where it says uploads. If you actually go to uploads and you hover over these question marks, it tells you the size that every template needs to be in, right? These are your sizes here. Template 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Since I'm using template 2, just know that template 2 is a square. 1072 by 1072 pixels is what you need to tell your designer, or what you got to do in Canva or Photoshop to start the process. If you have somebody design it for you, they're gonna, you know, either email it to you, you then download it. If you paid attention to the beginning, you're gonna drop it into the Touchpix file, and then you're gonna hit this browse button, right? It automatically takes me to that Touchpix files folder because I've been using it since the beginning. And I'm gonna use, let's use something. I think I've used the same thing every single session. Let's use this border here that I created. I named it 1072 by 1072. Once I select it, it pops up here on the lower left-hand side. Click on it once, and then you see the border here, right? If you have a brand, if you have a logo, you could actually do this with transparent files as well. You can hit where it says custom sticker. You can hit browse, and I have some basic lettering that I did in Photoshop, right? And I selected the lettering. It's then going to pop up here on the top left-hand side when it's ready to use. I click on it once, and it pops into my screen, and I can position it wherever I want, make it bigger, make it smaller, right? You can do this multiple times depending on what you have. If you want to center it, you can enable the grid, right? And it looks like I was off center there. Make sure it's nice and center. Drop it wherever it is that you want. If you want to keep doing this, if you want to hit up, you know, uploads again to another sticker, and you say, now I want to, you know, put my brand in there, which is the Instagram logo for now, for the purposes of this tutorial. I'm going to select the Instagram logo and throw it up here on the side, and you can keep on doing that as many times as you want, as long as these files are transparent, are in PNG, right? Once you're ready to go, right, you can actually add the template to that event that you named at the beginning. If you paid attention, I renamed it at the beginning because I already had an event called something similar. So I'm going to click add template. Turns green, it means it's added. Next, you're going to go over to my account, events. You're basically done. It took me a long time to explain it. Really, once you have it really down and ironed out, it takes you about 4 or 5 minutes. Your first, second, third, fourth time, it may take you anywhere between 15 minutes to 20 minutes, right? But once you have it down, it's going to take you, like I said, 4 minutes. This is the event, right? I'm actually going to scan the QR code below it just because I want to use this for a sample. So you're going to click QR code. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch over to my iPhone, see if my iPhone is still awake. This looks like it's not awake. Give me a second here. I want you guys to see the process. All right, so now I'm going to open Touchpix. So now what I'm going to do, are you guys able to see both screens still? Or did I lose you guys?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So now what I'm going to do is on my iPhone, I'm going to hit activate event, right? Go back to my iPhone. It's going to ask me for camera permissions. Yes. Then I'm going to scan the QR code. So now everything that you set up on your web-based platform is being transferred over to your phone now. Setting up the event. It's asking for microphone permissions. It's also going to ask for camera roll. You have to say yes to both options. Allow access to all photos because it stores everything there. Because I'm using the Apple TV portion of things, it's going to install a small file or a 260 megabyte file. So hit yes, right? Let it do its thing for the first time. It's only going to do it once. Now I'm going to toggle over to my iPhone because there's a couple of settings that you need to switch there. You don't need to do this over and over again. You're only going to need to do these settings once. The only reason why you would be required to do them over is if you delete the app and reinstall it, then you would have to make sure that these settings on your phone that I'm about to explain are also selected. Okay.
The question with the manual using the GoPro, you have to still have the app and everything on your cell phone?
Correct. Because the GoPro is communicating with the phone. The phone is what's processing the app is what's processing the file. The GoPro is just capturing the device.
Oh,
Session.
I didn't know that. Thank you.
So once you're here, you're going to see this hamburger icon on your top left-hand side. You're going to click on the hamburger icon. It's going to bring you to the settings tab, right? You go into settings. As you scroll down, for GoPro users, this is where you select GoPro, right? But before you do that, GoPro users, I always recommend you guys initially click the back camera just so you can do these following settings, and then you can switch it over to GoPro. So for the GoPro users, put it on back camera first. Once it's on back camera at the beginning, go into your camera settings, right? And why I ask you guys to do this for the GoPro users is I always want you guys to have a backup device. If your GoPro doesn't work for whatever reason, then use your iPhone, right? There should always be a backup plan. That's just the way I always try to program people to have a contingency plan. It hasn't failed yet, but it's always good to have a good backup plan. So once you go into camera settings, leave it at auto face exposure. You're going to want to go down here for the people who have the iPhone 11 and 12. You're going to click on lens and you're going to set it to ultra wide. Once you once you set it to ultra wide, you hit done. Then and then it's going to ask you, because you switch lens, it wants you to make sure that you select the right slow-mo speed. So click understood. Then it's going to take you to slow-mo speed. Once you're at slow-mo speed, you're going to click on that. The correct slow-mo speed that it should be on, that we recommend, is 1920 by 1080, 120 frames per second. There's two options. Select the first option. Again, it's 1920 by 1080 at 120 frames per second, and then hit done. Once you hit done, then you can hit the go back button. One more setting here. We're going to go into Video Effects Creator. These top three tabs here, Video, Boomerang, and Slow-Mo. Make sure you select Slow-Mo, right? And we're basically done, but I want to show you where Video Effects Creator is where your special effects live. This is where you can add a promo video down here. I mean, you can add a promo video. If you have somebody make a promo video for you, you can add it down here. I don't want to confuse you guys, but I'm going to go back to this. So after you're done with this, hit go back, and then you can
Is that where you would add the confetti?
Correct. That is where you add the confetti. And then you hit save and close. But if you're a GoPro user, before you save and close, you're going to want to switch this back over to GoPro. Okay. So then you hit save and close, and you're ready to do a session, right? I'm going to do a quick session here on my phone, just holding it on my chair. Then I'll put it on my spinner a little bit later, just so you guys can see a quick example of what that looks like. Okay. So I'm going to hit go. My live view pops. And now I'm recording. I'm recording one way. Okay. I'm recording one way. It's my platform. There's the other junk I have. And as you can see, now it's processing the file. And you should be ready for a video playback with the audio track. My sharing choices now are email, text, or SMS. I'm going to do a
What happened to the logo that you put on there?
I used a different event. I scanned a different event. So I'm going to just send myself a text just to see how fast it gets here. Right. Oops. Missed a digit. Right. Let's see how fast it's going to get here. So that's basically how you run a quick session with that. I'm going to show you guys some of the special effects and how to do a sharing station, right? I think the sharing station is important for you guys to do.
I have one quick question.
Sure.
Well, I don't know. Are you going to go over the overlays, and what file format can you use for the animated overlays?
Yeah, the animated overlay is an MP4 file, and the sizes have to be the same size as the template that you're using, right? So if you're using this template 2, the parameters are 772 by 1072. So just be mindful that you have to use that same size and have to do a MP4 file. I'm going to give you guys a free MP4 file. I want you guys to try. I'll actually go over it now since you asked, and I think it's a good feature. So I don't want to confuse everybody, but I just showed you guys what a slow motion session looks like. And this is more of the advanced features here. But if you go over to the settings tab, right, and you go into settings, and if I scroll down here where it says Video Effects Creator, right, I have tons of features I could use, right? And the gentleman asked me about what's called an animated overlay. So that means it's an overlay with movement. I have one that I'm going to give you guys for free. Just shoot me an email at the end of the webinar. It's going to be the one that says overlay black. So you're going to select this overlay black, Once you select it, it's gonna pop in this square right here. It didn't take long, but just wanted to show you guys my text message came in. You know, I know a lot of you guys said, "Oh, I'm experiencing some issues." So it came in. I just want to be able to turn on my camera. So there it is. It's on my phone. I'm just going to tap that and click on the link, and you'll see that it's the exact same file that I just recorded. So that's the web gallery, right? And that's how a customer will get it. Those the download features. That's the recording I just did. So I just wanted to point that out, that, you know, I get what a lot of people are saying. I get it. You know, I think internet is this unknown factor, and I don't have any control of it, but I do understand that, you know, some speeds differ, right? And some speeds go up and down. And it really, if you're not getting your files, it's because the upload speed is not stable enough to send it. But like I said, I don't want to frustrate people. I know people are super frustrated probably because they're tired of me saying that, and it's not working for them. So just bear with us. Give us a couple more days. That update's going to, you know, release, and that's going to remedy all the issues. Hopefully, all the issues. I'm hoping it's a successful update, because the development team is actually a very good team, and they've been working really hard at this because they've heard you guys, and I definitely want you guys to just give them a couple more days so that app update releases, and I think you guys will be all right. But let's go back to this. I just, you know, got sidetracked there because I wanted to show you how fast the thing came in. And once you hit overlay black, you're going to want to click overlay black down here. So the thing with the MP4 file, you're going to have to email it to yourself on your phone, or if you have Google Drive on your phone, or if you have Dropbox on your phone, wherever you're going to be able to find a file. So if you email it to yourself, you're going to make sure that you save it onto your phone directory, not on your camera roll, but that it's saved into your files. So once you click overlay black down here, it's going to ask me choose the file. I'm then going to look for it on my phone. And for the purposes of this, I think I'm going to go and grab it from my Dropbox folder. See if that works. And I actually have it at the very end. But I'm going to give you this exact same file. I think I called it video, so it's in alphabetical order. Here it is. The file is called video. As you can see, I'm gonna go ahead and select it. It gives you a little warning to make sure that you're using a animated overlay. You understand that, you know, the file that I chose needs to match the output of the recorded media, which is the audio file. I selected the MP4, as you can see it there, right? Now I'm gonna hit go back, and I'm gonna hit save and close. And now you guys are gonna see what an animated overlay looks like, right? I'm gonna do another recording real quick. Here we go. So here's the second recording. So be mindful, because you are using the animated overlay. It takes a few extra seconds to process that MP4 file, but ultimately the output, I think, is worth the wait, because it's a really nice output. If you guys are not in the Touchpix group, user group, I highly recommend you guys go in there. There's some awesome animators that are very affordable. They produce really good work. People are posting there all the time, their work from the weekends events, and reach out to these animators. Keith Freeman, you know, Matt Calvert, Michelle. I don't want to butcher her last name. I'm sorry, Michelle, if you're hearing me on this webinar. There's just tons of people that do good work. Just ask a question: who does animated overlays? Then they'll come to you, and you guys can work something out via private message or something, you know. So this is the effect here. You see that effect? Like a glitter smoke effect. So I'll be providing that at the end of the webinar. Whoever wants it, it's free. You can use it for any of your events. It's just a simple glitter effect.
I have a question regarding that.
Yeah.
So with that animated overlay, would you go in and manually put in your logo and all that as well?
No, I usually have these designed individually depending on the event. So if you want one made that you can use a lot of the, for a lot of your events, then I'd go into the group and get a hold of a designer. Unless you can do it yourself, a lot of this stuff is done on After Effects or Adobe Animate. If you're well versed in those areas, then by all means. But I think
No, I was saying with that overlay that you're animated overlay that you're providing.
Oh, you can still go in there and put your brand the other way, right? As a static
Right.
brand, you just won't add movement to it, right? Unless you create an animated overlay that already has it with movement, then you can do it both ways. Okay. So
is there another way to contact a designer outside of Facebook?
you know what? That's a good question. Why don't you send me an email? I'm gonna put my email. My email's in the chat already. If you can scroll through, and I'll send you their websites. I just don't have them off the top of my head because they're just they're not directly affiliated with Touchpix, but I know they've done some excellent work for a lot of the users. So I can definitely send you like a list or something.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thanks.
So the next step I want to show you guys is the sharing station. Okay, I think the sharing station is something that people sometimes struggle with, and I'm going to switch over my camera and see if I can get it working, and then we can go into the sharing station mode and then do a final test on the output. Okay, so let me see if my camera's working here. So okay.
I have a question.
Sure.
If we go back to the event and make some changes, will we have to scan the QR code?
No, it does it automatically with the internet connection, right? So if you have like cell coverage or whatnot, it'll do it automatically.
Okay.
You don't have to go in there all the time, and you don't have to go in there all the time.
And I have one more question. I know this is jumping ahead. So the same thing as far as when we set the iPad as a receiver, if we close it out, let's say if we exit out, will we have to go back and do it again?
Yeah,
Or-
you will. It's
okay.
very sensitive that way. And I think that's where a lot of people actually also get a little mixed up. So this is kind of why I want to show this next step here. Okay, I think I stopped sharing the screen. Okay, I'm no longer showing my screen, right? Are you guys able to see the camera? The actual iPad or no?
We see your computer, we don't see the iPad.
Oh, okay. Let me see what I can do to stop that.
And also, I don't see your email address, and maybe I came on late, so I don't see it. But
yeah, I'll throw that up as soon as I can.
It's at the beginning of the chat.
Not on mine. I don't see it.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So behind, but I know you said people are using royalty-free music. If you are using that, like let them use the music they want to use during their sharing, and then when you upload it to your personal Instagram page, your business page, with the royalty-free music, will you still get in trouble?
Run that by me one more time.
So if I let the client use whatever music they want, whether it be like a rap song, a blues song, and then when I upload it to my personal business page with royalty-free music, will I still get in trouble?
No, I mean, you don't have control over what other people do with the files anymore. You know, as long as you have proof that, you know, if you ever do get hit with the lawsuit, which they do happen, that's why I discourage people going that route. I encourage people doing it the legitimate way, because it just, you know, it's a better look for your brand. It's a better look all around. Because there has been people hit with lawsuits, but if in the case that you get hit with like a cease and desist of some sort, you can always provide proof that's timestamped with the original content, indicating that, look, I did service this event, and my videos have no audio. Now, when somebody, you know, somebody else is in possession of that audio, you don't have no control over that. I think the idea is to reduce any liability for your brand and for your business, to try to reduce lawsuits. Okay, so I'm gonna move into the sharing part. I don't know how I'm gonna do this because I am using a wired microphone right now, and I hope I don't mess anything up. So bear with me because my wireless mic wasn't working too well.
DJ One.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, what if you, I guess, edit your video via TikTok and add music that way?
Not sure what you mean by that. Like, are you still wanting to use music that
They
belongs?
they have all kinds of music in TikTok that I guess is not restricted.
Yeah, so look, yeah, I don't want anybody to get the wrong idea. I'm giving out my recommendations. I recommend people stay away from music that does not belong to them. Radio stations have to pay a special licensing fee to be able to broadcast these music. I do understand what people say, you know, that a lot of people do it, that DJs do it. You know, yes, but I'm also trying to educate you in the sense that I don't want you guys to be the first people to get lawsuits out there. I'm trying to actually prevent that from happening. But at the end of the day, you know, people, anybody's going to do whatever it is they want to do. If you want to go on TikTok and do that, that's, you know, that's a decision that you're making. Just legally, I can't be in here telling people, hey, you know, download stuff off of the internet from some other site. I just try to really educate and try to enhance that this experience, the 360 experience, is a unique experience. I understand that people like to make it trend through the latest and, you know, the latest hip hop trap tracks or whatever's out there, but, you know, just also be mindful that you're running a business, and just trying to indicate that it can possibly come back and bite you. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going here to my sharing station here. If you guys can see that, I'm going to try to focus in a little bit more. I'm going to go over to the Touchpix app here. All right, and I'm going to show you guys how to set up a sharing station real quick. This is my phone. It might be a little bit blurry, but I'll do the best.
One quick question.
Go ahead.
Quick question. Do you have to be on the same Wi-Fi connection with the sharing?
You do not. You do not need to be on the same Wi-Fi connection. So I'm gonna start. My phone and the iPad have the same event, right? The reason why I didn't use the event that I scanned the event that I set up with you guys is because I already had my iPad set up through a different event, and I just didn't want to make any mistakes in showing you guys this. So what you need to do from the iPad is on here, go over to Gallery. From Gallery, you're going to see a little dot on the top left corner. In this case, typically when you do it for the first time, it's going to be an S. You're going to tap on the dot, and you're going to want to set it to activate receiver, right? Once you do that, you're going to go over to your actual phone. Once you activate receiver, leave it alone. Don't touch it anymore. Just leave it as is. Don't mess with it. You'll be good to go. Then you will go over to your phone and click on Gallery, and we're going to do activate sender. It's telling me if I'm giving it permission to allow a local network. I'm going to hit yes. It then detects the name of my iPad, right? And I'm going to click on the name, and it says success. It's successfully connected. Once you do that, you exit out of your phone and you leave it alone. You don't touch it anymore. You'll be fine. As you'll be able to see right now. I'm going to do a test session, and then it's gonna start uploading the content. So I'm going to run a test session real quick from my phone. I don't have it screen mirrored this time, but you guys will be able to see it. You guys will be able to see the content appear. So I just did a session. It's going to take a little while. Again, I used an animated overlay. Try to zoom into the iPad again. It's blurry.
So you said again, go to phone, click gallery, then click what after that?
After you set up your receiver, you're going to hit, you go over to your phone, gallery, click the S and set it to sender. Then you should be able to see the iPad name on there. Still processing my practice recording. That way you guys can see.
You also normally mention something about turning on your Bluetooth and making sure that something is.
I am, and I'm always about to get there. I just wanted to show the quick file transfer first, and then it's doing its playback on my phone, right? So I'm gonna give it probably about 20 seconds, and it probably should be there within that time frame. As you guys can see right now, there's 4 videos, and it should be popping in. Soon. Yeah, so typically what the question was, I typically like to teach for everybody to, if you can see, it just popped in. This is the video here. I was just recording the floor, basically, my vinyl collection. So that's the video. So the sharing station does work. You just have to leave it alone. Don't play with it no more. Just leave it as is. And people are able to airdrop, email, do whatever they want with it from there. So the sharing station absolutely works. So what the caller was mentioning, I typically like to teach before I go over this is what do I recommend in setting up the sharing station? So this is the key elements, right? So when you're gonna go over to your sharing station, right, I always go into the menu option here. And once you're into the menu under make sure that your Wi-Fi is on, make sure that your Bluetooth is on, go into general. I always even go a step above and beyond, make sure that the airdrop is set to everyone except just your contacts. After you do that, 2 tabs down under display and brightness, make sure under display and brightness that you set your auto lock to never. That means it's not going to fall asleep on you. Because if it falls asleep on you for screensaver mode, that means it lost the connection, right? So, for example, I just toggled out of there. I don't recommend it. Sometimes it loses connection, sometimes it doesn't. But I just kind of wanted to show you guys that is the process of this. Do you guys have any interest in seeing how it works with the Apple TV at all?
Yeah, can I ask a quick
Sure,
question before you move on? So technically, all right. So when you're doing the sharing between the iPhone and the iPad, so technically you only need LTE service on the actual iPad unit, and it's not required on the iPhone. Is that correct?
That's correct. That is correct.
Okay, and then if I'm not sharing via text or email, I don't even need LTE at all. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So only thing the Android users will be out.
Yeah, to a certain degree, that there is some valid points there with the Android.
Hey, Mr. DJ.
Yeah.
Okay, I work for Apple. There's a little trick that you can use where you could, if you have like a secondary line and don't nobody have that number, you can use your LTE from your phone and your iPad will send out the text message. It's called text messaging 40.
Oh, there you go. Hey, we got to connect.
Oh, wow.
You got to
Can
connect.
you say that again?
Yeah, say that again.
All right. So if you have, I would recommend that you have 2 different lines so won't nobody call in the other line. And there's option where you can have the secondary phone and your iPad to get, they don't have to be together, but it'll use the LTE from your iPhone, and it's called text message forwarding. And you can send text messages out from your iPad without even having to have an LTE connection on the iPad.
That makes sense for a lot of people.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Most definitely.
But they both have to be on the same Apple ID.
Yeah, that Apple ID is super crucial, right? So
DJ One.
So,
DJ One.
yeah, I'm here.
So on Saturday, I tried to set up a sharing station, and for some reason, my iPhone, I could not locate or identify my iPhone from the iPad. So I didn't know if I was missing a piece or what. I tried it over and over again.
Yeah, it
just wouldn't read
interesting.
it.
I mean, it really depends.
You got to make sure your devices are up to date. Make sure they both.
First and foremost, yeah, everybody should be making sure the devices are up to date in the latest iOS. I know they just released 14.5, I believe. Make sure you update your devices. But in your case, if you follow the order in which I just explained everything, as far as, you know, start from fresh. A lot of people, when I troubleshoot with them over the phone, I ask them to completely close out the app. I get a lot of people that don't know how to properly close out the app, right? They minimize it thinking that it's closed out. So I guess if all else fails, restart your iPad if you don't know how to close out your app. I have the older generation iPads where I double click on the button. My iPhone, I just kind of swipe to the middle, down to the middle. I mean, bottom to the middle of the screen. And then I flick it up. That's how I exit the app and try to restart that app. I think you're probably having an issue with something that's out of order. But you know what? Let's schedule a one-on-one. We'll be doing one-on-one shortly as well. So shoot me an email, see if we schedule a one-on-one. I can definitely see what I can do to get you up and going.
Okay.
I have another question.
Sure.
So he was talking about a new, different line on your iPad or a different phone. I have an iPad with its own number. So how would you text from the Touchpix app? Like if the internet is down, how would that work?
You wouldn't have to touch. You wouldn't have to. If the internet is down, you still have an LTE connection.
Okay, so you're saying if on a Touchpix app, if we click the text message and put in a number, it will still send?
Right. If you have a dedicated, so if your iPad is LTE compatible, or if you have an LTE on your iPad, it should just send out the text message regardless of, you wouldn't even need a wireless connection at all.
Oh, okay.
Okay, here we go. I'm going to show you guys this is kind of one of the last steps here, how to screen mirror. So once you have your Apple TV box, I have my Apple TV box plugged in right below my TV over there, right? It is plugged into Wi-Fi. It doesn't need to be plugged into Wi-Fi, but it is. I have my iPhone on my spinner already, right? What I'm going to do is from the top right, I'm going to flick down to the middle. The screen mirroring option, I can't focus on there, but it's there. The screen mirroring option appears. I'm going to select screen mirroring. It's now going to detect my Apple TV. If you look at the TV, now it's switched over screens, right? I'm going to tap on my phone and I'm going to run an actual session. I hope I don't mess anything up right now, okay? Here we go. I'm going to run a session by clicking Slo-Mo. You'll see the countdown. It says, look at the TV, okay? Look at the TV. Oops. Of course, my spinner didn't turn on. I don't think I powered it on. But in the event, we're just paying attention to the Apple TV here. I don't know if I connected something wrong or just look at the Apple TV and it'll do the playback. We're gonna try this again. Now I turned on my spinner. Just so you guys get a good example of how it looks live and how it should look. I'm a little constrained here and I apologize, as I don't really have the room that I need to be doing this, but it gets the job done. So again, when you're using animated overlays, just know that it is going to take an extra couple seconds, but you can see the video playback on the screen. And once it's done, it should appear with the little QR code right beneath it that's ready to download, right? So that's kind of how you incorporate the Apple TV element to it. Let's try this one more time and see if I can get you guys a live demo. And again, it just has animations. Here we go. We're gonna do it one more time.
And when they're on the spinner with the Apple TV, they're looking at the TV instead of the phone.
Well, they don't have to. The TV can be placed aside. You can, you can do. It's just more for, just to get the crowd attention from the event guests. It just attracts more people because they're wondering what it is that people are doing.
Can you explain the Apple TV aspect? I'm a Droid user. I'm just using these iPads because of photo boost, so I'm a little new to it.
Yeah, so the Apple TV just adds an extra element for live viewing, live recording. As I'm explaining right now, I'm going to run a session so you can see. I have my spinner working now, so I'm going to hit go. If you look at the TV, it says look at the TV. Right, 3, 2, it's spinning. Sorry, I have my spinner on super fast mode and it just hit something. But it, you get a good idea of what it is now. Yeah, you get a good idea of what that is. I don't know what it hit, but it hit something.
Excuse me, DeLeo, do you have the plug on the Apple products?
Are you talking to the gentleman who said he was
Yeah, I was asking if he had a connect on the Apple product.
Right on. Valid question. Valid
Can I
question.
ask a question while we're waiting?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
What models of Apple TV? And I heard you say you got older iPads, and I know in the instructional video they recommend iPad Pros. What are you using?
Yeah, I got the 2nd gen iPad Pro, which is still considered, it has the button.
Okay.
But to answer your question, what model use? Any 2nd generation and up, I would say is a good enough unit for this.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Excuse me. Well, I was using last week. I did my first event. I used a 2nd generation Apple TV. I was having trouble between the sharing station, the phone, and the Apple TV. So once it would connect with the sharing station, I had to set up and I left it. It stopped sharing. So I went to reset it up. But if it was mirroring, I had to turn off the mirroring in order to get it to share. Is that normal?
I can guarantee you her Apple TV wasn't updated. You gotta update that too.
Yeah.
I just went out and bought a 3 for like $50. So
yeah, so that's probably it. You're right. There's a lot of inexpensive ones. So yeah, that was the other question that was asked is you don't need the latest and greatest. The Apple TV 3rd generation works great. And I think the price difference is huge. If you buy a new one, I think they're 180 or a little bit over that. The difference is that the new one offers 4K. It's probably a little faster, probably a lot faster actually, but in the sense of what we're doing here with the 360 booth, you guys can go on to OfferUp, Facebook Market, eBay, find yourselves a 3rd generation used for about 40, $50 exactly. But make sure that the software is updated. That's always pivotal. That's very important for everybody to know moving forward, is always update your softwares. You're trying to reduce, you know, a lot of the technicalities by using an iPhone, but also make sure that you update that iOS to the latest. You know, it's super important for you guys to do that. I have a couple minutes for added questions in case you guys want to ask questions. Feel free.
Yes, it looks like you have new lights. Did you get new lights?
No, I you know, I've had these lights. I'm always experimenting with lights. You know, I bought some lights. I buy lights all the time. I just have too much stuff. But no,
So
I've had lights.
where did you get these from? Like the double lights.
Oh no, well, I kind of put these together. If you look at them closely, I don't want to get into the details of this, but if you look at them closely, they're a little DIY type stuff that I try to experiment.
Because I noticed another lady in the group, she has some exactly like this. The one is like two.
Yeah, no, I put these together. You know, just explore Amazon a lot, you know, Alibaba, but you know, I don't want to get too off topic. But yeah, I think lighting is also important, right? I think if you guys want the optimal experience and you guys want to represent your brand, you know, do a lot of research. I know that there's a lot of other groups that get on people for, you know, doing research just because a lot of research has been done before by some of the pioneers. And you know, it almost feels like the people that are coming on board, you know, just kind of want everything handed over. And you know, Touchpix is a powerful app, but also, you know, it's up to you guys to enhance that. Because no matter, you know, if you have the latest and greatest spinner, latest and greatest app or software, you know, your output's going to reflect the work that you've been putting into it. So I always encourage yourself just to practice. I'm not going to tell you how many times I get calls that people are trying to activate the app the day of the party, and that's not really what this is all about. You know, yes, it's about making money in the end, but at the same time, you know, this is an industry that I value a lot. I've been part of this industry for a little while now. I've been blessed to connect with good people, but you know, you want to put out the best quality you can put out there, you know, because it creates a value for this type of product, right? So that's kind of what I want to promote for everybody out there. Doesn't matter what spinner you have. I have, I've had manuals. Actually, the one that I'm using, it's technically a manual that was converted into to an automatic. So I don't knock on manual spinners. I don't think automatic spinners are the greatest either. I think they both have their place, and I think that you guys are the ones that are going to illustrate that, going out there and producing some quality stuff. But definitely want to take it back over to Touchpix. I do want to answer some questions in case people feel a little lost and want me to explain something a little bit better. I have a few more minutes, but I definitely value your time, and I thank you guys for staying on probably so late just to kind of hear me talk about this app.
Can you go over?
I have a question.
Okay, who was first? Let's try to tackle these.
Well, my question is about closing events.
Okay.
Like when I try to close the event on my iPad, and either if I close it on my iPhone first, then I have problems closing it on the iPad if I close it, or vice versa.
Okay, so you want to close it always want to close it from the sending device. So that's a very important question. Thank you for asking that question, because I almost left it out. Thank you for doing that. Okay. Let me actually explain something real quick. I'm going to go back into sharing the screen, right? I want to explain something. That's a very important question. Here we go. So if you go over to your events, right? You guys saw that I just created this event called 831, right? Every time you create an event and you're going to use a sharing station, what I need you guys to do is go into this little sprocket here, click on it. There's this middle tab called duplicate event. You're going to want to duplicate this event, right? Duplicate the event that you created. This is going to go for your iPad. So once you duplicate the event, it's going to copy the same exact settings that you created the first time, but the only difference I'm going to do here is call this a sharing station. And then I'm going to submit and I'm done. So in essence, what I want you guys to do is the first event that you create, the first QR code is going to go for your phone. This duplicate QR code is going to go over for your iPad. The reason I have you do this, if you scan the QR code with your iPhone and your iPad using the same QR code, and you accidentally close the event with your iPad, then there's no way you can close the event on your iPhone because you're using the same QR code. There's no longer an active QR code for you to close, right? So you need independent QR codes. I always recommend make a duplicate. One, name it sharing station, and the other one, name it sender. You always want to close your sending device first. Why? Because it has all your files. It keeps all your files as a backup. All the originals are stored in your iPhone. When you close an event, when you close it successful, right? If I go into, let's go into gallery here. If I close it successful, I'm going to see all my events that are on my iPhone into this online gallery. And this online gallery will exist as long as you own this account. So earlier I explained how I was going to show you guys how to share without the use of an iPad. You can actually do it if you don't have an iPad just yet, right? When you create an event, I always recommend people run one test session. When you run one test session, what it does, it opens up a public URL, like your own gallery for that event, right? So this will pop up where it says public URL. You're going to want to click on that. Once you click on public URL, it's going to take you over to your independent web gallery. This is what the client sees, right? But I'm going to make it real easy, right? I'm going to go over to that URL. I'm going to copy the address. Once I copy the address, I'm going to go to this free website called QR Code Monkey. And I'm going to make that address, that gallery, a QR code. So I'm going to delete that. I'm going to paste that address here. That address is unique to that gallery. Once you paste it, you can even get creative and add a logo if you have a logo. I'm going to use Pinterest for now. Let me upload the image. I'm going to hit generate QR code. So for those of you that can see my screen, go ahead and scan this QR code and it's going to take you to that gallery that I just showed you. Why I have people do this is kind of a backup plan to sharing, right? My events, when I go to my events, I always create a QR code myself, right? I print this out in an 8x10 picture format and put it in a nice picture frame. I leave it out in the guest table. So if the guests want to download their files and their files are just not ready on the sharing station, I just say, hey, look, come back in 10 minutes, scan this QR code. You'll be able to download it from your phone. Super easy. Anybody can do it. Just kind of a fallback plan, right? Did this make sense to a lot of people? You have access to this gallery, whether you have an active account or you decide to stop payment for a week or a month, right? This gallery will live as long as you have a Touchpix account.
Yes.
So if we're using the public URL, okay, say
correct.
Like the second person that does a session scans the QR code and then I record 10 videos after that. Will their URL that they're using have the 10 videos that were recorded after theirs?
That's correct. The URL keeps uploading. Your phone keeps uploading into the cloud. As long as they have that URL, it keeps loading into that gallery, right? It's just an online gallery. That's all it is. And they'll have all the same download features they need to keep it onto their device.
Okay, so if I don't have a strong internet connection, it's safe to say if I have
well, if you don't have a strong
copy
internet,
of the QR code and the people,
you still need an internet connection to do this because remember it's going up to the cloud, right? But sometimes this way is a little more reliable than you're waiting on a text message to come. But again, I don't want to focus on that.
But the phone is sending it to the URL, right?
Yeah, I don't want to focus too much on that.
Not the iPad.
Yes, I don't want to focus too much on that because in 2 days everything's going to change. Like everything that we just talked about as far as having difficulty with sharing because it's not feasible because of the file size, it's going to change, right? So, if we're having this conversation again next week, I'm in trouble because I've been saying, hey, look, just bear with us. Give us till Friday, Saturday when that release drops, and then you guys will be a lot more comfortable with sharing, and everything is going to be streamlined. So hopefully everything, at least for you, because it sounds like you had some trouble sharing before, will get remedied. Is there any other questions I can take before?
Yes. Hi.
Sure.
Could you just go over compression? Because I know there was a slider for compression. Can you explain that a little bit?
So again, I'm going to touch on it briefly because that's going to change as of Friday. They're releasing the update. They are there's going to be 3 on the slider now. You don't see it right now, but there's going to be an added feature where it's going to be, the compression is going to be set to low. Low is meant for people that just, for whatever reason are having a horrible internet connection. What I mean by horrible is like maybe 1 bar on their LTE or hotspots or whatever, and they just need to get that file out there. That low, this doesn't mean low compression. It means low quality, means that it'll be ideal for cell phone use only, for cell phone viewing. Then the slider will have a medium and a high. But just to give you guys an update of some of the what's expected is the developer was able to reduce the file size by over 65% and maintain the high quality output that it has now. So expect some really, really good update. I wouldn't recommend you put it on low. I'd recommend you possibly leave it on high and see if that works out for you. But that medium option is also an option that you guys can play with if you guys are having difficulty with. But just kind of bear with us. Understand that Friday, Saturday, that once Apple approves that app release and it hits the App Store, it's going to be ready for people to use. I see Latoya. Latoya, did you
I have
your
another
hand up?
quick question.
Sure.
How do I get videos out of the queue? Like sometimes they're just stuck there and I don't know how to get them out.
Yeah, you close the event.
Just close it.
Closing the event forces everything out, right? And forcing the event closes everything out. If you have a iPhone and an iPad on the same QR code, and for example, your iPad didn't get all the files over from the iPhone, and you close out the iPad first, then you're going to run into some issues because most of the content that you have will still be on your phone. Touchpix does a great job of backing everything up on your phone, and it still has some backup parameters, even of your original footage. But I'm not going to get into too much detail with that. But if you are ever stuck in a situation when you need to extract your footage, shoot me an email, and we'll talk and we'll figure it out. But the question that you asked is, regarding something similar to this. So I would just recommend you close the event, and it forces everything out of the queue, and it sends everything that it needs to send out. Any other questions? I still got 35 people on. I definitely
other than waiting for Friday or Saturday's update that you're speaking about, I'm still the one that asked the question about being able to send the videos out as soon as the people get off of the platform and they put in their phone numbers, it getting out to them quickly. You said you have some tips and tricks on how to get it out to them quickly. That's the only problem that I'm having. If they don't have an iPhone, I can't airdrop it to them. So those people with Androids, they're not getting their videos immediately until I close out the event. So what's some tips and tricks?
No, so that's the thing. So that's the thing I just showed. The QR code would be your best bet, right? The QR code would be your best bet in sharing that by going into your public QR code, getting a picture of your public QR code. As soon as it uploads into the system, then they should have it in the online gallery, and they can download that instantly.
Okay, so you say just print out like an 8x10 of the QR code and just have it.
Yeah, the public URL that for that specific event, correct.
Okay, thank you.
Can I ask 2 questions?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, so I just want to confirm if I'm using an iPad as my sharing station and I'm using a phone to go around, if both of them have their own independent, like my phone has a hotspot and my iPad has service, they don't have to be on the same connection, right?
They do not, correct.
Okay, and then the other question is, when you added the logo to the background and you added it to something else, I saw where it shows on the background, but where else does it show in, it was another option you showed us. I forgot what it said. Oh, it was the logo and it says the background, I think.
Yeah, so I used 2 options. I used the custom overlay background, right?
Mhm.
And then I used the sticker option.
No, I don't think that's where it was. I think I have to find my note. I think I have to go to it and I'll probably just have to send you a message because you showed it on 2 places and I was trying to figure out where the other logo appeared.
Yeah, if you can recall, let me know, or we can connect after.
She talking about when you setting up the event.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where the logo, where you can change the logo and it changes
okay.
that.
Got
Yeah.
it. Okay, so let's go back.
Thank you.
Okay, here we go. Let's go back into this event. Let's go into the edit.
Like I know where you added it, but I'm just trying to figure out where in the event it appears.
Oh, okay. So I'm going to explain right now. So let's go here. So this app logo right now, it's going onto my Apple TV on the very top. That's where it displays, right? It's giving me that same Instagram logo at the very top. Let me see. Are you guys able to see the camera that's on? No?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to zoom in. But at the very, very top, there's that logo. Little Instagram
okay.
logo. Okay.
Okay. I just wasn't sure, so I'd know if I wanted it or not.
The web gallery logo, right? The web gallery logo is on my iPad. You see the iPad right there? You see
Yeah,
how
I see it.
you see how that logo? And then the middle one, the app background is not actually the one that's on my phone. Right?
Yeah,
So
I saw where that one went. I wasn't sure where the other ones went.
Yeah,
Okay.
so those are the 3 spots.
Okay.
That it hits. Yeah, for sure. Good question though. Anybody else have questions? I still got
One quick question.
Sure.
Will you be doing a class on how to set up? I mean, because I'm gonna be using the GoPro. Or will you do a live class on how the GoPro setup would be?
So the GoPro setup is very similar. There's only 2 steps that are different, right? It's actually, I can shoot me an email and I'll send you the link to the YouTube page, which tells you how to connect the GoPro, but that's the only difference on how the GoPro communicates with the app, right? But if you shoot me a message, we can connect and we can definitely tackle that. But the plan is kind of moving forward. I think I don't know if I have a couple of moderators on the call or not. If they do, if they want to say something, step up. But I think things are changing. There's a lot of users out there. The plan is, who's that? George?
Yeah.
Hey, George, what's up, man? So I want to introduce George. He's one of the moderators in the group. I think George Velasco and Jessica. I'm sorry, I don't want to butcher the name. It sounds like it's Boone. They're the moderators in the group. They're going to be taking over some of the informational, some of these webinars. They're going to be taking over some of the tech support. And actually, they're not taking it over. We're all sharing the load, right? We're going to be exchanging the work. We're growing. We're just trying to accommodate the need of the app, and we're trying to definitely, just educate as much as we can. That way, you guys can get out there and produce, good content, right? That meets the criteria for this premium style photo booth. What do you think, George?
Oh, absolutely. It sounds good. I'm looking forward to being a part of these these Zoom calls, and I know maybe you can go by specialties.
No, for sure. For sure. I think, I think at the end, we all want to enhance not only our own skills, but the skills of everybody in the group. And I think, we should value that. We should value the community. We should value what we learn, and also just try to promote doing things the correct way, because there is really different ways of doing things. And, we always promote doing things correctly. And that's why we try to kind of recommend that, people do the, copyright royalty free stuff, do it correctly, price yourselves right correctly. You don't want to be getting into these bidding wars for very low prices, because if you guys really calculate the expenses that you guys have put into this, right, your spinners, your lights, your iPhones, your GoPros, iPads, insurance, your branding, your props, your vehicles, it's a lot of money, and at the end of the day, you still gotta get other things that make your business run. So be mindful of that, and really price yourself in a point where you're going to be profitable, and you're going to be targeting the clientele that you want to target, basically, because there is different clientele for this.
Where are you going to be sharing the information for the different music apps? Because someone had asked about someone to help with graphics. I have a really, really good graphic girl that I've been using for like the last 4 years that I've been doing this, but she doesn't do animated. But she is the only person who I have doing my stuff.
Animated stuff, you can always, like, if people join the groups and say, hey, who does animated overlays or who does animated stuff, people will come to you. You just have to ask, right? And you don't publicly have to, agree to something. Typically, when somebody hits you up on Facebook or whatever platform, they'll DM you, and you guys, if you guys can work it out, then done, right? Plus, if you ask that question in the group, there's people that are going to recommend certain people, and you might be more gravitated to wanting to see the quality of work, making sure it's in line with your, with your brand and stuff like that. So I'm going to put some options on the music option on the chat.
You mind putting your email address in again? For some reason, I don't see it. And just to make sure because again, I haven't used the software yet, but the Slo-Mo Duration for the iOS, you said put it at about 4 seconds.
Yeah, I like to keep it, somewhere around 4 or a little bit above.
Okay. And it says on the functions, you said only slow-mo, but that does slow-mo boomerang, right? It goes back and forward or no?
Slow-mo boomerang, correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so I put my email address there. Again, I got George Velasco on the call. He's a moderator in the group. I help out in the group, but I don't have an official role. There's Jessica Boone, who's also a moderator. I think there's
real quick.
Go ahead.
I'm Charles. This is Jessica's husband.
Hey,
so
Charles,
I typically help out a lot too with Jessica. So
there it is. Hey,
so
nice
yeah, so you see Jessica, I'm the one that's home all day. So really, I'm gonna be probably the one helping you out more. So anything
right
y'all
on.
need, I'll be here to help too.
We were trying to figure that out. Martin was like telling me, hey, Jessica's really Charles and Charles is Jessica. I couldn't figure it out, man. So
long story, we started the business, everything's under her, but we both, equally do everything. But if you need anything, I'm really here more of the times to help. So
right on.
Nice to meet y'all.
So we got Charles and George on board. That's great. Again, they're going to be some of the people that are going to be on the group and trying to help out as much as possible, and ask questions as much as you can. And there's a support email that I'm offering. There's also a just let's start with the support email. I don't want to get inundated with calls. The way it works, and I don't want to kind of sound like I'm not respecting everybody's time, but the way it's working right now is Touchpix is offering 7-day free trials to new subscribers, right? If you're a new subscriber, shoot me an email. I can activate that for you as quickly as possible, as early as, probably not tonight, but maybe tomorrow. Both, I think Martin and I don't know if Charles or George are going to be also doing the activations as well, or if they're doing them already. But we can get you started with that if you're a new subscriber. But be mindful, we're giving you seven days to try it, and this is a trial mode. Utilize it as much as possible. By all means, I need to concentrate on the weekends. I concentrate more on the paid subscribers versus people playing with the trial, because I think we have an obligation for people that are paying for the app already to be able to support them if they're having some difficulty out at the events. But we're easily accessible via I guess Facebook group, and my email's on there. If you guys need anything, feel free to shoot me Charles or George a message via the group format. But if there's no more questions, definitely want to end this. This was kind of a long webinar for me, and I could already tell my throat's a little parched up. But I value your time. I value your eagerness to want to get into this industry and do it the right way. And hopefully we can connect at a different level, and start sharing each other's output in the groups is always a good thing to do, and looking forward to that as well. With that being said, I'm gonna end tonight's Zoom call. If you guys want a copy of this Zoom, feel free to shoot me an email. My email is in the chat. I want to thank Charles and George for I don't know how long they were here. I'm hoping they weren't on for the entire time, man, because it's a long freaking time. And we're trying to reduce these as quickly as possible, but we'll go from there. Thank you guys. You guys have a good night, and we'll catch you on the next one.
See you, everybody.
Good night. Thank you so much for that information.
Thank you.